All right, welcome to Midday Repartee. I am pretty fired up about this one. I am Rotten Glory. I am joined today by Scotland's greatest shit superhero, Captain
Sup,
Fuckhead. How
fuckers?
are you doing?
I am good. I am very good today. Nothing manly. I've been doing fuck all.
What?
No,
Oh
nothing
shit!
manly today. Uh,
Damn. Usually you're out in the garden, just like with your shirt off, sweating and lifting
yeah.
things and yeah,
No,
moving
nothing,
dirt.
nothing, nothing manly today. Just
Okay,
licking salt off my missus' feet.
nice. Mitchell, happy to have
Sorry.
you here. How are you, sir?
Here, doing good.
And of course, the crowd favorite is here with us, Jay Money. He's always he makes everybody happy. Come on now. But you guys, if you want to push people out, you got to come in here. You got to get involved in the conversation. Um, I'm hoping more people decide to jump in. That's the goal of the show, is to get as many perspectives as possible on these topics. But the people who I'm appreciate the people who come in and contribute to the show. So
As long as we're not distracting Mitchell, because every time I see him with that headset on, all I can think of is he's an air traffic controller.
yeah, like people are dying right now because he,
Oh,
he
man.
got hooked into the conversation.
He's in his own little version of airplane.
Yeah, I picked
So-
that day to quit drinking.
So I'm kind of fired up about this topic today. I'm going to front load the conversation and delve into some numbers and perspective on the American comic book, the state of that, where it's at right now. On a previous show, we established that a very tiny percentage of Americans actually read American comics, and we're talking. It's not even 1%. It's not even a half of 1% of the population is engaging American comics. Now, if you look at a film like Avengers Endgame, okay, 100 million people went to see that during its premiere, okay? And at this point, I would venture to say that a good 75% at least of America, we're talking the total population, have engaged this film. You go to something like a streaming service like Hulu, okay? They are sitting around 25 million subscribers at this point. That reach, a subscriber isn't necessarily the number of viewers because you have multiple people in a household engaging the content. So it, could be 50, 60 million people have eyes on Hulu content. So when you're talking about these corporations, the value for them is the reach that they have. We're talking about mind shares. How many minds can they get a hold of with their content? And it is astonishing how much money gets funneled in, how much money gets invested into these companies by people who have ideologies or political agendas that they want to push forth into the culture. People are dropping hundreds of millions, billions of dollars into these companies to get their ideas out there. And if you're talking about American comics at less than 1% readership of the entire population, it's of no value to these companies. These corporations it's not a priority. They don't care about the comics because it's not reaching a large enough audience to make it of value to the movers and shakers. Okay? And this is so basically what I'm saying here to the talent, to the people who want to make comics moving forward. Don't don't look to the corporations for a career. They don't care about comics. It's not it's not bringing value to their company as a whole in their eyes. They're not passionate about it. It just don't. The future is going direct to consumer, creating your own IPs, selling it direct to the customer, building your platform. We're seeing tremendous success with people. Sean Gordon Murphy just launched. He's just getting going, and he's over 130,000. Okay, and his campaign isn't even run well. He didn't build that much excitement for it. He's not really running an exciting campaign, and he's still gonna. This guy's gonna do what, 300K, 400? Who knows? Huge success. You know, we've got your boy Zach just killing it, releasing a lot of content. He's I don't know where he's at total, but he's well over $1 million at this point in money he's raised with his campaigns. This guy, obviously an enemy of Comicsgate, not beloved, but it's still an example of the level of success that you can have. And of course, the guy doing it best of all, Ethan Van Sciver. Campaign is currently at $866,000. And that's not done. We're going to see that break $1 million. Ethan is, I believe, over $2 million with his campaigns. This, if you have a talent, if you're an artist, if you're a writer, you want to make comics, going direct to consumer is the path moving forward. Rant finished. What do you think about all that, Captain Fuckhead?
I've been saying it since I got into Comicsgate. As soon as I started looking around and poking about and looking at publishing industries as a whole, I've been saying this from the get-go. Like, the Comicsgate is leading the way. But I mean, everything's going to go direct to consumer. Over the last 20 years with the evolution of the internet, how many small towns have seen their high streets decimated because shops can't pay rents or rates? They go online. All these, I don't know, with the big stores you have in the US, I guarantee you they make more money online than they make money through their stores. So eventually all those stores will close because that's not where the money is. Everything is going to go direct to consumer. Disney Plus, Hulu. I think on the Hulu figures they fudged them a little bit because they count people who no longer subscribe or no longer pay their Hulu bills, let's put it that way, but they continue to count them as subscribers because they have email addresses. So I do think Hulu are fudging things a little bit. But Jay, you brought up AMC Cinemas a couple of weeks ago, a couple of episodes ago. Am I right in understanding now that AMC are closed? Business done, shut forever?
I don't know.
That's the first I've heard of it.
I had heard that was in the wind. I wasn't sure if it was confirmed or not.
I just Googled it, and every one of them say temporarily closed. And,
okay, so
yeah, that's the last I heard too.
If we look at what's happening at cinema at the moment, cinema. Okay, you were talking about 100 million people might have seen that fucking shitty Marvel film.
That was just on the premiere. You know, at this point, with it being available online and all, I'm sure it's almost. We're talking almost 100% playthrough for the population on a movie like that.
But on an annual basis, cinema goers are low. The numbers of people going to cinemas on an annual basis is dropping year on year on year on. Cinemas will close. The reason why Disney is buying up all of this fucking IP, the reason why Disney are investing so much in Disney Plus, why they've invested in Hulu, why they're investing in other streaming services, is because they will go direct to consumer eventually. They will turn around to consumers and say, you want to watch this Disney film, you're going to need Disney Plus, and because it's a premiere, you're going to have to give us the price of your cinema ticket at the same time. Then in 6 months' time, once the cinema tickets are gone, you can have it on your stream to watch for nothing. They will just rape you with all your fucking cash. They will say, cinemas get no more money. Why do we need to pay them anymore? Same way Comicsgaters have gone, we don't need comics publishers anymore. The same way the publishing industry will go, we don't need publishers anymore. The writers will just go straight to consumer. It's all going to go that way. There you go, rant over. You've had it now.
I disagree a bit with what you were saying. I think it is going to go direct to consumer, but I feel like it's going to be a little bit different because I feel there is at least with the Comicsgate kind of business plan, I will say there's a lot of artists that are a little bit more introverted and struggle with it. I wouldn't be surprised if you pretty much come under like a stable. So like you would go under like All Caps Comics, and like sure, Ethan's going to be the big promoting driving force behind it. He's going to still do his, but maybe he likes so and so, and he's like, oh, I don't really care so much about this idea, but it's a good idea. We could definitely make some money. Yeah, I'll promote it. We could put it under All Caps, but you'll work for me. I
get that.
Yeah,
I think that is going to be the next step.
No, that's interesting. I mean, I think there's a lot of. Yeah, you know, things are going to evolve and change. Ideas are going to be tried. I mean, there's no doubt that there could be a lot of experimentation with the model itself. But
that's Zach's model already. That's what Zach's doing. He comes up with stories, pays a team off. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That is what will happen. I want to know what Jay Money's got to say because he looks like he's sitting on something. Look at him.
Drop a
What?
pipe bomb on us.
Come on, let me at it. Let me at it.
I personally believe they're going to go bankrupt, and American venture capitalists are going to purchase them, or people like Silver Lake are going to buy a larger percentage of AMC as an example, because they just own 33% now.
Yeah.
And it's just what's happening with the food industry is going to happen with AMC. And there has been news about drive-in movie theaters have been making a buttload of money off of old movies. So there's drive-in movie theaters down here in the South, and they've been playing old movies. They haven't even been playing new movies, and they've been billing the entire lot. And
Nice.
I believe they're going to go digital, but if they go straight to house, they're going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars a year, if not billions plus a year, if they leave the movie theater industry. And then how much will Coca-Cola lose because of all their products that are on every single movie theater? And then how much
right.
will the food manufacturers, just the chain itself? And then if you've seen some of these camera contraptions they have in these new theaters, they're essentially they're just all digital now. One of the AMC's or whatever we have down here has a giant green room with gay lighting, and in that room it shows you all of the computer systems that they use to run all the projectors. So what's going to happen with those producers who make those? So
Right.
I believe there's a huge supply chain that is going to go through a complete and utter restructuring. They went through it to make Chinese happy, the Chinese folks happy, and the foreign venture companies happy. And now they have to reverse that and make us all happy again. And they got to make movies good again. You can't make two people go to a movie theater and spend $100 for two people and think that that's going to be a successful
Right.
market, or it's not going to work.
I mean, my big thing about this topic is that how small these big companies are really only interested in the reach, the absolute reach of how many eyeballs, how many minds are absorbing their product. That's what's valued to. That's what brings in investors who have an agenda, who have millions upon billions of dollars to pump into these companies to get their ideas out there. Comic books do not represent a valuable commodity when it comes to that, because it's such a small number of people reading them. Now, could the AT&T and Disney, could they, if they dedicated themselves for the next 15 years to creating a cultural shift where comic books were a bigger part of the landscape and more, they could probably get that number up to 10%, like Japan. Mm-hmm. Japan is that model that shows us, look, you can have 10% of your population engaging this medium. But even at 10%, that's dwarfed in comparison to the reach they have with their film studios, their pop music studios, their news outlets, their streaming services. It's just not worth their time. So the future of comic books it's on the creators moving forward, in my opinion, to produce comic books that are going to be of any value to anyone. And I just think if you're a comic book artist, if you're a creator, and you might have that, I want to work on that character, that Batman, that Spider-Man. I understand the draw of that, but I really think it's time to let it go and really think about the model that the Ethan Van Sciver's of the world are showing us can be very successful.
I'm just thinking more and more about how you keep on relating it over to Japan and how they have their viewer rating, like their readership, I guess. Maybe it's not the right word for it. But a thing that we might need to look at too is that when you break down manga and you look at the different genres of it, it covers a whole spectrum. Comics traditionally don't cover that whole spectrum of genres. You don't have a romance book. They don't even just have a romance book. They'll have a romance book for like 3 different types. So you have 3 different age ranges of romance books, trying to get 3 different people reading that. Same thing with their action books. Well, they'll have all this stuff where you can go in and you might only read one type of book. So it's weird for Comicsgate because I'd have to relate it to like I think we'd have to even narrow that down more to just like the actual like the Shonen Jump style almost of
Yeah.
of manga,
Right.
and I feel like that would cut their percent down significantly. I don't feel
Yeah.
like we get up to that 10%. Maybe I'm biased, but maybe it would be like more like 8% total
Yeah.
readership.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. It would take a great deal of effort, and I just don't know that it's worth it to these companies to expend the effort because they already have such a mind share with their other products. You know, it just doesn't seem worth their time. Alex, I want to welcome you to the show. How are you doing?
Yes, can I say?
Jesus. That was fantastic. It's always what I love is when someone really brings something worthwhile to the table and you just kind of sit there in awe of Comicsgate and how awesome it can be at times.
How long would we have sat and listened to that if it was the your boy Zach clips from the videos?
And I did not kick that person. They kicked themselves.
Oh snap! Okay.
That was that was the whole shtick, I guess. So
I
don't.
Go on.
I
Jay.
think there's going to be a renaissance of entertainment again. May not be this year or the next year, but Kevin Feige just took over the publishing side of Marvel, and as we have seen so far, nothing has been done with it. So there has to be something going on behind the scenes that will make, because Marvel movies really suck now, that will make them at least decent or better again. And then the same has to go with Harvey Weinstein. So Harvey Weinstein, when he got arrested and all the money that was laundered and spent on lawyers and whatnot, their entire catalog is almost completely evaporated. So every intellectual property that the Weinstein company used to have, they no longer own. And yeah.
Ooh, does that mean is The Crow up for grabs? That's cool.
Weren't they talking about making a remake with it?
Yeah, I think there's a remake.
Yeah,
already
they have a remake.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Somebody brought that. I wasn't.
Yeah.
Where was I? I think it was Adam AF's Morning
The
Woke Up
Woke
show.
Show?
That came up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. It was
And I didn't know about it. You know, and they're talking about a remake of the original, which is don't do that. Just out of respect for what happened, don't do that shit.
I don't get that anyway, because it wasn't the original. So that's the original film for The Crow, but The Crow itself had so many different. There was so many different variety versions of it. It wasn't just one. It wasn't just a one shot. There was. So they could.
There's novels.
Was it Eric Draven? They don't need to make the Eric Draven version. They can do something completely new with it. That's the way I would have gone.
Yeah,
I know they
should.
did. I think they did do a second film.
Oh, I think they've done 4.
Oh,
to
4
be honest.
total.
What I think the 4th one had what's that kid's name from T2? Furlong.
Evan Furlong.
Yeah, I think he was the Crow in the 4th one, and he was already like kind of like, whoo, this guy's got problems. So that wasn't good. But I do, I think there was one called Salvation that I actually thought was decent. But yeah, The Crow is a kind of infinite stories can be birthed out of the Crow concept, and there's no need to disrespect Brandon Lee and what he did in that original film. Just leave it alone, people.
Yeah, you can say that about a lot of this stuff. I think that part of the reason why they do things like that is that they're not really thinking about the actual fan base, the direct-to-consumer still. I think that they're trying to get seats into movie theaters, and they're also trying to sell these movies to the movie theater, that kind of intermediary. Sorry, go on, carry on. Like they're not targeting Crow fans with that. They're not trying to get, Rotten likes the movie. They're not trying to get Rotten to go see the movie again. They want to go and get, like Rotten's kid or someone else's kid who's never seen the original one to go and see this remake because it's new and better than this isn't your dad, Crow.
And it's so dumb, and I can't remember the first time I really heard this framed really well. It might have been Cecil, honestly, but it's like, do you not understand how fandom is passed down? It's passed down from the father or the mother to the kid. Like, I'm going to show my kid that original Crow film, and they're going to have a love for it like I did because they saw it at that, that really impressionable age. And it's like, that's where your fan. It's the same with Star Wars. They're being shown those original films by their parents who absolutely love them, and then when they're like expecting it to be that kind of flavor, that kind of experience, and they go see these new things where the companies think they're going to draw on all these new people. It's like, no, you're missing how fandom can be passed down generation to generation. You're missing it.
You know what they'll do with The Crow, won't you? The opening credit for the trailer will be dedicated to Brandon Lee.
They might do that, and I'm sure it'll be a female crow. It'll have to be a female crow.
They'll need their family permission, but I guarantee you they'll try and do that. And just Jay, on your point about cinemas, I think in the UK the numbers are definitely dropping year on, and part of the reason for that, you're talking about supply chains and all that sort of stuff, is because most people in the UK now, when they go to the cinema, they take their own shit in. They got a rucksack packed full of goodies. Yeah. We ain't paying none of that fucking, like, you could £7.50 is the minimum charge for I think now for a season ticket, for a fucking cinema ticket. So you're paying £15 to get in. By the time you've left there for a night out, you've already paid £45. But what they do this thing very cleverly in the UK. What they're doing now. So if they're building a new cinema complex, they build it a little bit bigger than the cinema requires. They build extra places that they can then extra things at the cinema that are rooms or parts that the cinema then can then rent out. So what we have now in the UK is when you go to the cinema, you are expected to go for dinner in the restaurant before you actually go and see your film. Leave a little bit of room to have your hot dog for pudding when you're in the fucking cinema. Then when you've left the cinema, you're expected to go into the pub next door to the restaurant, which is under the same roof as the cinema.
Oh, wow.
So what the UK people in the UK do now is they wait until the Blu-ray comes out. Then they buy the Blu-ray second-hand after some poor sod who's already had to pay the money to the film companies to buy it. So we give money back to those poor bastards that are willing to actually go and pay the money. And then, because everyone's got a half-decent TV these days, we sit down in our living rooms and turn the lights off and watch the fucking film. We're eating home-cooked food because it's the best fucking food anyway. Drinking beer at home that costs us 1/10 of the price of a fucking pint.
Yeah.
And if they just made good movies on a decent budget, they wouldn't have to do this. I mean, it's literally as simple as that.
Yeah, I like old horror movies and stuff like that. You can do amazing things on a small budget if you just have smart people. But something that you have to look at is that they also have a big kind of brain drain, where because CGI came in, all the guys used to do things for cheap, practical effects. They didn't teach anybody new because they're just like, yeah, we don't need you anymore. And so, but I got 20 years of this practical experience. No, so it's hard to replace that.
Yeah.
So there's a struggle with it, and bad CGI is worse than no CGI in my opinion. So you need those guys to be skilled, and that costs money.
I think it's nice to hear that American drive-thrus are doing well, particularly with old films. But I mean, I've been fortunate. I've lived in several cities up and down the UK, and the number of cinemas I can count in those cities that still show old movies. I can think of probably 3 off the top of my head from all of the cities, not from each city. I can think of probably 3. But I mean, drive-thrus, it's not something we're ever going to experience in the UK because we don't have the landmass for it. We just don't. There's no, that's not a profitable way of using the land. But these older cinemas, they do okay. They do okay, but they're no blockbusters, and they don't show blockbuster movies, so they're not supposed to. But they also do. You talk about food and supply chains and all that sort of stuff. They do it a little bit better. So instead of having to go to the pub and the restaurant that's in the same building as the fucking cinema, these guys will offer you a cup of tea and a biscuit. Right? You know what I mean? It's a completely different vibe. It's very cool. You can even go and get a slice of cake. You know what I mean? And there's one in Birmingham, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. At the back of the cinema screens, they actually have tables and chairs, so that rather than sitting in that traditional cinema seat, you go and sit down in an armchair. You've got a coffee table where you can put your cake and your cup of tea or your Coke or whatever it is you want. You know what I mean? And that's quite a cool vibe. But they're not known enough. Not enough people. The people that tend to go there are those trendy weirdos that are going to try and discover something old because it's cool.
Yeah, we've got the same thing here. There's a place not far from where I live, just a few blocks, that they've got couches in there, and it's more art house, independent films being shown, and it's cool. It's cool, but again, it's like, with everything that's happened with this world shifting event that we're all going through right now, are people really going to want to sit elbow to elbow with strangers in the world moving forward? That's also I don't care. I think if you're afraid to live in the world, if we can't live in the world and be people, then what's the point?
Yeah.
But I know that is not the majority. When I look out at people's behavior, like, I'll be outside smoking a cigarette on my porch, and someone wearing a mask will not only, they will go out into the street and make a wide berth around, like, because, oh my God, I might get infected. And it's like, all right, what? So this fear mentality has permeated our culture at this point. Are people really going to go into an enclosed theater and sit elbow to elbow ever again? Is that going to happen?
One thing I'd say, that's not because they think you're going to be infected. People do that all the time out here just because you're smoking the cigarette, Rod.
No, but these are
like in California, dude. You light up
my
this
porch
cigarette,
is way back. It's not.
They'll sit there and they'll go around the block, and then they'll be talking under their breath the whole time. Did you see that guy? He's smoking.
No, that's not the norm here, though. We have people walking. Okay. Before all this, it was not. You'd never see something like that, and now it's like, oh my God. I don't know. I want to return to normal life as soon as possible. I never really went to movies to begin with often, but I don't care if I wanted to go to see a movie. I'm not going to let this deter me. I don't think this illness was quite as big as they were making it out to be. We did great steps, and I think that when it comes down to it, we're going to have to start looking at it like any other flu season, because that's going to be coming up soon. And you know what? People die from that too. People died from a lot, dude. 60,000 people died in 2017 to 18 from the flu. It didn't even it wasn't even a blip on the radar.
No.
It's like, okay, well,
people die from car accidents all the time too. I'm still going to get in my car and drive. I got to go to work. Yeah. But I think that it's going direct to consumer, just regardless of whether or not people are going to the movie theater and this whole, how people feel in the movie theater. I think that you're just more comfortable in your own house. How many times have you been to a movie and you've been yelling, that parent did not keep their kid in control? I paid good money to come in here. If I'm in my house, I don't got to worry about that kid. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
I almost would be willing to pay more.
Yeah.
To get the movie
and then, as people's home entertainment setups get more and more impressive too, it's like, the experience of that big screen with that impressive sound system isn't quite as the thing it used to be.
I think we're all there. Pretty much all households, I would assume, across the world now, unless you're over the age of 65, will probably already have some sort of LCD, some sort of flat screen TV. High def, not the 4K shit. Like not even I'm interested in that because it makes my eyes hurt. But we've all got them. Most houses will probably already have some variety of at least the PS2 to one of the original Xboxes. PS3, but you need the PS3 for Blu-ray. If you don't have that, a lot of people will probably already have a Blu-ray player. Pretty much all houses will have a DVD player of some variety. All you have to do to enjoy a good film is turn the fucking lights out, press play.
Yeah.
Or make good movies.
I mean, good movies would be an amazing thing if people want to make some of those. Definitely behind that.
I would at that point. I think it's appropriate to say, because I think this is another thing that's going to come along soon. If you still are a big fan of good movies when they were made, get your wallet out, get on the Amazon, find all those fucking films you love, secondhand if you have to. Collect up your physical media now. It's going to go.
That's actually that's a very smart tip, man. I might take you up on that because there are a lot of film and then you've got companies like Disney like altering shit for reasons, you know, and it's like, no, I want that film the way I remember it, the way I saw it. I just want to point out, look at this. This is, how impressive. The Midday Repartee. We've got the 5 watching. And then this other guy, this other joker has 1.5K watching.
Isn't
it's a barely, this is really fitting to the conversation because this is like what people watching this show right now is the comparison of like what the readership of American comics is compared to all the other shit these companies have. That's EVS right there. So it's like, what do you think they're going to place importance on? Midday Repartee or the Ethan Van Sciver show? Where are they going to put their energy? Of course, it's not going to be on this show.
The more I see Ethan in these thumbnails like that, the more I think he looks like an urban Santa Claus.
Of course. We should just snipe his show and kick back and watch it. For fuck's sake.
But
I just thought that was funny. I thought it was funny.
Buy up your physical media because again, streaming services. Why are Disney going to put money into actually making Blu-rays and DVDs and cases and printing out the covers when they don't need to, and you can go and get it on their streaming service?
Yep.
Yeah.
Once you make all books and movies digital, it's easier to change things.
That is a concern, big time.
Disney Plus is doing that already with some of their PG-13 films. They're changing small things, and then on their digital reprints, like I think we may have spoke about Wolverine, where Dan Fraga drew Wolverine with a cigar, and on the digital reprint, they have they cut the cigar and photoshopped it out of his mouth.
Yeah, so it's insanity, dude. So that's a really good point, Captain Fuckhead. We should those films I love. I should get a hold of them before they are no longer available in that format.
It's another great reason why we need to keep comics.
Yeah.
I personally believe because the infrastructure for the printing press is so massive, so large that it will what we're talking about is essentially we're fearing people as well, if you want to use it that way. And they create, by doing what they do, they make the conversation what it is by their actions, so we speak about it. So we create ourselves inadvertently that fear of the brick and mortar businesses going away, the printing press going away, the movie theater going away. And then now they're talking about semi-trucks having autonomous drivers. And then in big cities like New York and Shanghai and these other areas, they're talking about autonomous cars and autonomous taxis. So if you're in a big city, you're not allowed to drive. You're not allowed to own a car. And they actually have rules like that in Japan where the areas are actually so crowded you can't own a car. Or if you do own a car, you can't park it where you live. You have to get something to bring you to where you live because it's so fucking packed.
Yeah. Gargoyle, sorry, you've been sitting there a while. How are you doing?
Don't worry. How you doing, sir? It's all right.
I
didn't want to interrupt.
I know. I'm sometimes. Maybe all the time. I'm a pretty bad host. I get that.
No, you're a fantastic host. That's only when you have 2 glasses in you, you're fantastic. When you have about 5, you get a little rough. When you have about 10, that's when you're absolutely gone.
I appreciate that. Well, that'll probably happen tonight. Luckily, on Monday nights, I don't have to host. That's Ink Spots. Tonight on Ink Spots, we'll be doing Monday Night Shit Talk. That's always fun. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it isn't.
I love it. It's always
so,
fun.
Gargoyle, did you have something to say on this topic of?
I didn't know where to keep up because you guys went so far ahead when I jumped in to give
pull
my
it on
2
back,
cents.
reined it in. We kind of went off the rails anyway.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing the mainstream market's missing, which we had a patent in the 90s and the 80s is it's all about the event. It's all about making the people. I'm echoing.
It's J Money.
I noticed that.
My bad. Yeah, it's all about the event. It's all about making those people who wait in a line feel special first. About being there, like the people who seen The Empire Strike Back, like the original trilogy, stood in line in the movie theater, were on the news, getting the T-shirts. Same thing going to a rock concert. You want to be the first person to buy the signed CDs, possibly go backstage, get a signed T-shirt, probably a picture with the band.
Yeah.
No matter where you go, even when you go to the strip club, couples go to the strip club. The wife usually the last thing she wants to do when she leaves, she wants to buy a T-shirt or a shot glass or something.
Well, of course.
Something to remember the event. And comic books are no different. You look at all the old Image lines. There was a huge line waiting to get a comic from Rob Liefeld. You seen him standing next to Eazy-E at the store in California.
Yeah.
And it was no different in the conventions in the old days.
Yeah. Well, do you think that mainstream is going to invest the time and energy to try and get things back to that state, or is this just kind of for them? Is it just it's a dying medium that they're not all that interested in?
As a whole, I personally think they're way too self-important and have their heads way too far up their asses to even understand that logic.
Maybe
the rest of the group. There's some groups that are understanding, like for example, Clutch during the quarantine. If you guys are familiar with that band, they're pretty mid-tier, but they've been starting to do live stream concerts for free.
Oh, right.
Just jam sessions in their studios during the quarantine, 10, 15 minutes.
I mean, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
But I feel like that does similar stuff to like just the direct to consumer that we're already doing with the live streams too, is just banding it out to the music industry. Eventually they can get their super chats going and watch that kind of erupt into a new stream of income.
There are... Sorry, I was just going to say there are already several musicians that don't go down the traditional music traditional music industry route. If I'm thinking of the US, I'm thinking of someone like Tom McDonald, the rapper Tom McDonald. He's never been signed to a major record label, yet he's doing what he needs to do when he does shows that are sold out. We've got a guy in the UK who's been rapping now, just he celebrated his first decade in the music industry. Never been signed to a major record label. Never been played in any publicly aired radio, daytime radio. So you know how in the US, I know you guys in the US, if you make it onto radio, then you're likely to make it decent. But he's never been on public radio in normal time public radio. He's now because of that, because he's not followed those routes. He's had time to go and study history. He's got an honorary degree in history from Brighton University. He's now got an honorary degree and lectures at Oxford University. Because he's not contracted to doing all that other shit he's got to do. He gets to do his own stuff at the same time.
Well, and look, the guy who Cecil kind of introduced a lot of us to, Mark Ribier.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, okay. So Cecil, got permission to use one of his little impromptu songs for his intro. And this guy, I've watched some of his live streams, right? This guy has from 5,000 to 10,000 people watching his live streams. Just fucking dishing out fucking money to him the whole time. He does live stuff. I'm sure he gets paid handsomely to do live shows. And again, it's another guy. He doesn't. Who needs the mainstream anymore to become a successful hit? You don't need it. It's not required. All it requires, you got to have the courage to say, that's not really. I don't need to define my success by having some corporate entity, some official institution tell me that I've now made it. If you can let go of that that idea of being published, if you can let that go as a comic book creator and just say, how successful can I be in terms of reaching my customer, selling my product? If you can let go of those old ideas of success or I don't know, status, you can achieve great things by going direct to consumer. You know,
It's interesting you bring up Mark Reblay because he, from my understanding, he actually started doing what he was doing because he tried to get into the music industry and everybody just flatly turned him down. Just
Right.
said, no, no, no. So he started doing this, and also
Yeah.
with this lockdown going on. So he's actually had concerts in Australasia, as I'll call it, because it was Australia and New Zealand, that he couldn't attend. So how's this for direct to consumer? I fucking love this. He, on his own time, when he should have been in Australasia doing these things, he converted Australian time into US time, and then went on YouTube and then made sure that all the people who had bought tickets to go and see him there knew he was on YouTube at their time to perform the shows that he was going to miss.
that is phenomenal.
That's good.
The guy is working it the way you need to work it. And I just went to his YouTube channel. He's almost at 700,000 subs. He's making a very handsome living, going direct to consumer. What's that?
I was gonna say, you guys watch UFC?
I'm not into that kind of stuff myself. I kind of appreciate boxing, like more traditional boxing.
Yeah, I like all
But
those.
UFC never really. Watching men grapple each other on the mat it never really did much for me.
It's only gay porn. It's only gay porn if they make eye contact. But anyways, Max Holloway is now doing has been doing live streams, video game live streams. He was one of the Ultimate Fighter
Oh,
winners.
right. Yeah. I mean, everybody's starting to like look at this in a different light. They're starting to go, man, I need to build my own reputation on my own platform if I really want to have control and legacy. This is where it's moving toward. It's quite interesting to see. I do want to comment, I think someone on a previous show had brought up the level of investment that some of these political guys, movers and shakers, are dropping into these companies. And Soros recently put $45 million into Blizzard. Okay, now why would he do that? Because of the reach that company has with their product. Mind shares. Comics don't have the mind shares. Therefore, they're not going. These companies, we have to understand that behind the scenes, things are going on. Investments are happening. We're looking at just sales of a product, like how much money did it get from purchases. But you have to look at what's going on behind the scenes with investors into these properties who want to get their ideas expressed in these properties. That's where the value is for these companies, is the behind the scenes kind of shady dealings, if you want to call them that. That's where a big value is for these big corporations, and comics just don't have the mind share to pull that they're not going to pull those investors. So it's going to be up to the creators to build their own platforms. I'm telling you, this is where it's at. For sure.
I agree with that.
I just think that was I don't know. I feel like he's investing in Blizzard because he likes them and he wants to keep them going because they aren't doing incredibly hot.
I don't buy that for a second. Nobody with
a lot of big
no
mistakes.
way.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody with that
I'm
much
saying
money
that
does
they're-
anything out of the goodness of their
he likes
fucking
what they're
heart.
doing.
Have
He likes what
you-
they're doing, like their messages, but I don't think that they're doing as hot anymore. They've been making a lot of
No,
hasty choices.
they've made a lot of mistakes for sure.
Yeah.
I get that.
and
I
they're
get
trying
that,
to
but
use
why
that
do you-
China
Overwatch?
money?
That
Yeah,
game
but-
fucking sucks.
Yeah,
You gotta
a lot of-
remember,
You see,
they
Warcraft
were,
3, the re-release. They didn't even need to make a new game; just re-release it, and they botched it so hard that on the actual tournament, they had to stop playing the re-release version and go back in time. They still messed it up so bad they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
That's your tournament. You couldn't even
Yeah.
make it run on your own stuff.
Yeah.
These people like Bethesda and Blizzard and all them, they're not what the five of us grew up on. They're not, and
No.
that there are certain technologies and certain gaming industries that are actually they're more secure than cell phones, and they're almost as secure as governmental use message to message programs. So it behooves someone like George Soros, who's lost every single angle that he has, to have backroom conversations to buy into these companies. One, to get their technology and put them into European countries and elsewhere, because it was all developed here, and now they're going to steal that secure intellectual property for the secure messaging systems that they have, and they're going to move them out of this country. They do it to everything, and so you have to. I implore you to look into George Soros and what he's doing when he buys into entertainment companies.
Yeah.
Because it is a rabbit hole that will blow your mind once you realize what they're doing.
Yeah. It's important. I mean, it's all intertwined. It all plays a factor, and we just have to understand that when it comes to American comics, the value in mind shares, reach, and what it just is so tiny. It's so inconsequential to these juggernauts of companies. They're not going to care about it. So it's just up to the individual creators. It's up to the passion of people who love the medium to keep this thing going in a viable way. That's the future. So I just implore creators, if you've got the talent, if you're a Sean Gordon Murphy out there, just, let go of fuck Batman, man. I mean, I love Batman, but fuck Batman. Just move on to your own stuff, build your own IPs, start going direct to consumer, build, network out. It does, so you might not be Comicsgate. I would prefer it if you were. I really would, but it doesn't. This is the future model for comics. If they're going to be a healthy, creative, vibrant industry, it's not going to be with corporations. It's going to be the individual creator bringing their ideas to life. So I just implore you guys to get out there and do it. Let go of that shit.
Interesting you bring Murphy back into the equation. Remember we were talking about him the other day, and I was saying whether he's Comicsgate or not, the fact that he's on Indiegogo brings more eyes to Indiegogo. That helps Comicsgate. So I did a little bit. I went and looked through his campaign. I'm not going to back it because I think his campaign's awful. I read through it. I think it's dreadful. Stretch goals that you have to buy again. Like, just fuck off. No, not happening. But I went down to the bottom of the page, and I found this fascinating. So in the bottom of the page you have that little bit that you slide through, so you can look at other comics that you might want to invest in. Yes. First page, I saw the next case of the Littlest Umbrella. Second page, I saw of Jawbreakers. I saw a Wrecked Planet. I then also saw what was it? I can't remember, but I think out of 16 that it offered me, I think 7 of them were Comicsgate.
That is so fantastic. And, his campaign, Sean Gordon Murphy's campaign, is getting, if you type plot holes, into Google, it's not just popping a normal link. It's like a featured, it's giving it like special attention, with a special little box and shit. So yeah, you're absolutely right. This thing is pulling eyeballs. I'm going to go see if I can see what is.
Those ads are targeted, is what I was going to say, but we didn't get a moment. So like mine look different than what Captain was saying too. Just because
I get, yeah.
We look at a variety of different things. We Google a bunch of different stuff. But you do
I don't
get
know.
like, little umbrella.
I guess apparently I'm interested in fat iron.
Well, they comb through all your atomic abuse talks and everything.
I've got a guys. I'm gonna come clean right now. I've got a stretch mark problem. I need to take care of it. So obviously that was something I doxed myself a little there.
It's all right. Look, I've just looked at it again, and what's come up for me is paper doll colouring crafts for children.
So I maybe not the most accurate, but
no, it's good advertisement.
Yeah,
just remember, don't screen share when you have buckshot to the couch. Don't screen share that. I'm warning you.
if you're new to Indiegogo and you see this feature at the bottom, and then you back Mr. Murphy's product, then because you've already backed a comic book, it's going to show you other comic books, and you're almost guaranteed it's going to show you those comic books that are breaking 40, 50, 60, 100k. It's going to show you the big value comic books. I'm just looking at it now, and I'm seeing another case of the Littlest Umbrella. I am seeing I'm seeing Wreck Planet, and I'm seeing the new God King, which I need to go and sort out. I haven't done that yet.
Another thing to look at, I think, is also really important, is that he's bringing over people from Kickstarter, because he used to do exclusively Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so he's not bringing over a lot of Comicsgate guys. He's bringing over different people that were doing crowdfunding. And I remember when Kickstarter was the only game in town. Like, I really liked crowdfunding. I've been doing it before I was in CG, or part of CG. And I remember that I didn't go to Indiegogo because, like, I don't know any things going on Indiegogo. Why would I want to do this? It wasn't until CG started rolling over here and I started knowing some of the creators that I came over. And once you get that first foot in the door, like, well, I already got an account. Once you get that account made, all of a sudden I just oh yeah, no problem. Whatever service these guys are on, I want to get it from here. It's no longer stigma.
No, it's absolutely true. He's doing a lot of work for CG, even if I'm sure that wasn't his intention. It wasn't part of his motivation, of course, but it doesn't matter. He is pulling people over to the platform, which will then lead them to potentially Comicsgate projects, because typically the Comicsgate projects are the highest earning projects on Indiegogo. So
I want to know about this fucker who apparently hates talking to people. How the fuck has he made 530 glorious British pounds to do fucking Skype chats?
One of his videos literally said, "I hate talking to people. Do you want to pay me to talk to me?"
There's not even. I'm looking at that now, and the tier's closed, but there looks like there's a picture of the book, but it doesn't even indicate to me that the tier says you get a copy of the book. You just get to fucking talk to the motherfucker.
Yeah, where's that shit, dude? That shit was funny.
$200 on an American. Yeah.
There we go.
I mean, it'd be like if EVS, imagine if EVS didn't do live streaming. He only did like videos, and you got the chance to talk to him. Like, he's a big creator. You could bounce some things on him. Maybe you get a little insight on something. That's what people are doing it for, I imagine. And knowing that he is 100% not on YouTube that well, or that strongly. Yeah. This is your only chance. Some people, of course, are going to take that.
To his credit, he has learned to turn his phone sideways.
I'll give him that. He did figure that part out. But yeah, $4,000 for just offering to talk to him. Imagine. But that is what technically the YouTube platform should be about, giving that some level of interaction with you, with your fans, through the super chat mechanism at the very least. So it shouldn't, I don't know. I would never want to become, even if I could, I don't think I could stomach becoming one of those guys that charges people for handshakes and conversation. It feels so fucking
handshake's
raw.
A different thing.
Feels so raw.
Handshake's a whole different game.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever be that dude. But and then his stretch goals, like Fuckhead was saying, now his first 2 stretch goals, all it did was unlock more product that you could pay for.
Yep. Fucking ridiculous.
Now his third one did actually, which he hasn't unlocked yet, but he certainly will. It does add 22 more pages to the book. Now that's something.
Yeah.
That's of actual value. But the first 2 stretch goals were like, congratulations, you can now give me more money.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
I know, that hardcover edition, I saw that and I'm like, this guy doesn't get it.
I'm like, oh my god, whoa.
Vinny. Didn't Vinny just do pretty much that stretch goal where he's like, and we're all upgrading now?
Yeah.
Come on. That's the whole point of the stretch goal. Is that we have no
exactly. Maybe he looked at Vinny's campaign and misunderstood. He's like, oh, I can have a hardcover stretch goal. No, you don't get it, man. I paid for something that wasn't hardcover and it got upgraded. Do you not get this?
The most baffling part to me is all he had to do for those first 2 stretch goals. First one, you get a bookmark of something that he's already probably drawn. The second one, it could have just been a pin-up from a splash page in the book somewhere.
No extra work for him.
Yeah, I know. And
None.
My thing is like, here's what would, in my opinion, if I was interested in this campaign and I wanted that hardcover, I'd end up backing it. We'd get to that thing, and then I go and refund that previous tier and just buy the next one.
Yeah.
You didn't make an additional sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's
took
just
my credit card
he's not
payment,
getting it.
and so you pay me. You have to lose money on taking the credit card, lose money on refunding the credit card, lose money on taking the credit card again.
That's a good point, man.
There's
He
just
probably,
small
I bet
things.
he's got a really high number of refunds already on this
The other
And
thing,
for a
campaign.
$10 increase, because to go
other
from
thing-
soft cover to hardcover, $10 right there on your screen. Okay, it's $3 per charge.
if because I know at some point he said that you can do it as add-ons, but how many people know about how many people that don't know Indiegogo have gone to this and don't know what a fucking add-on is or how to do it and just bought the book again twice? So you get
Yep.
2 backers from one. If you statistically, you're going to get 2 backers from one.
If they don't
That's a number
just
fudging to
refund,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, well, if they don't, but to me that's number fudging.
So my thought
Yeah.
is, since every backer is a unique number, even if you get a refund, doesn't that still count as a backer? Does that actually change your number?
I don't know. I haven't worked one from the other side of the fence yet, so I can't speak to how the
I think
numbers
if you-
work
I think
internally.
if you refund, that number, that backer number is take. I think it's taken away, but that backer number will still exist in terms of the consecutive numbers. So if you refund and then back again, it's still one backer. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe they do continue it, mate, because it's
think so.
because. Maybe they do continue it, but
Yeah.
certainly they don't reuse that original number again. That's what I'm trying to get at. You do
Right.
get a set. You don't.
Yeah.
You get a separate number.
Because
Yeah.
like if it's linked to your account, then why not just let me keep on adding stuff onto my account? Like I remember when
That would make sense,
Blood Honey came
yeah.
out. I think I backed that one multiple times just because you keep on doing cool things. Like, oh, I want one of those too, but he didn't have add-ons set up right, so I couldn't just like click on one and add like 3 different covers or something. You'd have to
Yeah.
go through and go, oh, I want that one, I want that one, and I want that one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I had some problems with God King coming through. It never. Zach seemed to think it was the US Customs, but and that it might have been my name, the UK Customs, and it might have been my name, but that wouldn't affect you. That wouldn't be an issue in UK Customs whatsoever. They've just gone, what a fucking knob. They would honestly. They just go, oh, what a dick. Fuck him. Let's give him his book anyway. So I think it got stuck in the US. So I had to refund and do it again. But I immediately, because I'd spoken to Zach via email, so I felt it was kind of nice. It's like a personal thing, like he's looking after me. But I got a new backer number. But I said to him in the email immediately, because it's going to cost you, I'm going to buy more.
Oh, that was nice, dude.
Yeah.
So I managed to
really
make sure
cool.
I got the pin up as well. But like, because it's not him that's fucked it up. I know, because I knew he'd posted it. I knew everything was good. But I think that's one of the things that I see in Comicsgate is that level of relationship between creator and fan, and that's huge.
I don't. I refuse to do. I did one refund, and it was because on Xenotype I was trying to get the #1 backer spot, which Drew Mystery E. he beat me out, and I was in such a hurry I backed the wrong damn thing. So
Yeah.
I did refund that, and I felt bad about doing it, but there was no way I wanted. It wasn't the full book, and I was like, I got to refund this and get the actual
Well,
book.
I mean, I've got to say that's the only refund I've had to do, but that's because that's what Zach told me to do. So there, but
Yeah.
I did cross my mind when Smiller went all weird to refund something, but I thought, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that because principally I think that's backward. I don't think that
Yeah.
works. And I still haven't got my digital copy of your fucking book, you weirdo.
Yeah.
You don't
Would
even
have
have to post it
yeah,
to
that
me.
would have been justified. I don't know, but I fundamentally agree. I don't. Once I drop the money in there, I'm not going to pull it out. There's just something that feels very off about that.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go for #1, I think I got you beat on like the best campaign to have a #1 on, Ron.
What's that?
I got Wrecked Planet #1. Backer
Oh,
number
shut up!
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Oh shit! Did
Yeah.
you make the? Did you do like victory
Oh.
laps on Twitter?
Oh,
I must have
didn't
missed
do any
that
victory
shit.
laps on Twitter. I was gonna wait until I got the book in my hand.
I need
But,
to
Damn,
see
dude.
that.
I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
it actually opened up easier than it opened up earlier than we had it on the stream, and I was just sitting there hitting refresh hit a refresh, and then I'm like, oh, there you go. I bought that as a March cover. It just
That's exactly what I did with Battle Brick Road. I snagged the number 1, and it's like
There you go.
people are waiting for them to announce it on the stream. And I'm like, you fools! It's gonna go live before he says something.
Exactly.
I wasn't even offered that opportunity when it came to the Adventures of Kim Il Sung and fucking Best Korea. I got sideswiped immediately. Like, I worked on the fucking campaign and some motherfucker came and stole it from me.
Yeah.
And I know who it was. And I know who you are, Diva. You know who I'm talking to.
There are a couple things that Inkspots and I are gonna do that have never been done on a campaign before. I'm gonna it's probably piss Inkspots off, but I'm gonna share one of them right now.
No spoilers.
To other people that are, looking to launch a campaign. You should offer an exclusive reward to the number 1 backer.
Agreed.
Should be something very cool. Probably at the very least a one-of-a-kind sketch from the artist. But whatever it is, offer something really spectacular to that number 1 backer, because you want people competing for that spot. Mm-hmm. First of all, it's fun. I've tried to do it 2 or 3 times now, and it's just fun. It's a fun little thing to do with other fans. It creates this cool little thing, and you get bragging rights. But imagine if it also came with something, one of a kind, something.
To bring it back to El Gargoyle's point earlier, that's the fucking event.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the event.
Yeah.
You got to create the event. So if you have 100 people vying for that number 1 spot, guess what's going to happen in the first 30 seconds?
Yeah. I want to give a big shout out at this point as well to Double Vision Comics. So they are the creative team behind Mortal World. So what they did if you signed up to the emailing list on the first day, you got an exclusive tier for email list, only available for the first 24 hours. They gave you free shipping.
Oh yeah,
damn,
right. That was a huge deal.
That's big. That's massive. I think that's huge.
Yeah,
that's a lesson learned for anybody out there who wants to do a good first 24-hour.
Absolutely.
I think they obviously stole it from Ethan with his Jay Lee cover for the 24-hour thing, but I think free shipping's massive. I think that's a huge incentive to dive in there in the first 24 hours.
Yeah, and there's also going right now is what is it? More Lethal is just got probably the most screaming deal in CG right now with it's a $5 entry point for it's a 32-page book, and it's only got $5 shipping. So $10 people will get you More Lethal. I don't think there's been a deal like that in Comicsgate to date.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I think there may be some might argue that's, to deviate from the, I guess the standard $25 price point maybe isn't a great idea, but it's pretty, it's pretty hard to deny that getting a good deal is a nice thing.
It is. And, it's just the little things that make you feel like you're not just a customer. Like there's a little bit more of that connection. Like, I don't know, like I remember when I was growing up, there used to be like a farmer who had a vegetable stand at the corner of the block because I lived near the country. I would like to go and buy his vegetables even if he didn't have everything I was looking for, just because you go over there, he was nice, he had good customer service. It just made you have more of a connection with the product. I'm willing to pay a bit more for a little bit better treatment. Now, Comicsgate shows that, where some of these books are a bit more expensive, but when I've never had an issue. If something comes up like, oh, dude, like I remember there was one book or one thing I forgot to put my apartment number, and I hit him up, and it was the easiest change out there. I was like, hey, dude, I'm sorry I messed up. Is there any way I could update this with my apartment number? Oh, I haven't sent anything out yet. You're good. Perfect.
Yeah, man. It's what it's all about. And I think there's still so much room for experimentation, refinement. Every month that goes by, I think CG gets better and better, and part of that is creators are willing to share their experiences and knowledge with other creators, because while there is healthy competition going on, people are competing with each other in a fun way. I genuinely believe that creators are happy to see each other succeed. It's not how can I step on your head to get higher. It's how can we help lift each other up to the next level. And if having fun beefs with each other or competitions is part of that, then that's great. But there really is a sense of helping each other learn from each other's mistakes and experiences,
Yeah.
There's also documented cases of creators going out of their way for certain fans. I can give an example of this. I think, yeah, I can. So when I first backed the Littlest Umbrella, this was just before I'd actually met Peter Gilmore, and Pete and I have been friends for probably coming on a year now. And then as soon as I realised he'd been working on there, I was like, "Oh shit, Tug, man, I need to upgrade. Can we figure this out?" And he just said, "You know what? When I get to," because he'd been watching some of the stuff I'd done on Twitter, some of the drawings and things like that had been done, and he just said, "You know what? You've been promoting CG for ages. Just hit me up when it comes to fulfillment. I'll throw it in."
Oh, beautiful.
And I know there's lots of other creators that have done that for lots of other fans.
Sure.
So I mean, that's another thing that because that's the thing that's not seen.
Yeah. Yeah, but it accumulates that goodwill. Never underestimate creating goodwill one person at a time, because you never know who that person, number one, that person that you do that with could become a superstar down the road. You don't know. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to have that connection with you. Even if that doesn't happen, they're going to talk about it with other people behind the scenes. They spread the word of how well you've treated them. It all builds upon itself. So it's never a mistake to treat people above and beyond,
Yeah. I mean, I feel like those good memories are what goes. Like, I drive an hour to my local comic book shop because he treats me good. He puts my books aside for my pull list. He bags and boards them right out of the box, free of charge. I mean, like, just like little things like that makes me want to drive. I'll drive past 2 or 3
on a handshake at the basement
highway. Pretty.
Nice.
Sorry, I couldn't resist then. I could not resist.
We don't really have basements where I'm at, earthquakes and all. So.
Oh right.
We have to go find. Oh
right, you do it right out in the open then.
Yeah, we have to. Just nature of the business.
So, we've gone past that hour mark. I think we've communicated everything on this particular topic we needed to. Just direct to customer. If you're a comic creator, that's where it's at. That's where things are moving. That's where pretty much all industry is moving. Mm-hmm. It's not to say that these other things are going to completely vanish or they won't evolve and change and be part of our lives, but direct to customer, especially for comics, in my mind, is where it's at. And I think we covered that pretty well. I know that I want to promote Monday Night Shit Talk with Inkspots tonight. That's on Inkspot's channel. We always have a really good time. He's kind of just flies by the seat of his pants, and I don't really know what's going to happen, and that's part of the fun. So I would appreciate people checking that out. Captain Fuckhead, you have a show happening a little bit later today. Just a couple hours.
In a couple of hours' time, yeah. It's a pilot for an idea I've had for ages. So we're just going to run it as a pilot tonight, and I'm going to talk to other fans and creators within CG UK, but it's a little bit different from the normal shill stream. Instead of getting the creator on and telling them to dance monkey dance, I am going to get the fans in to find out the books that they are their most anticipated books that are either the campaigns are still live, so that it's up to the fans to shill the things that they're excited about. So that's something I'm looking forward to, because we all hear from the creators, and I'm sure the creators get bored of doing it.
Yeah.
And we keep getting told, grab a fucking oar, so come on, grab an oar.
I love this idea. I have some work I need to do, but I'm going to try and carve out the time. I want to be there, even if it's just to listen. That's totally cool. I'm really curious how it goes. If I can, maybe pop in there and share some of my thoughts on comics coming out, that'd be
I'm
cool
quite
too.
happy to drop the link. The one thing I will say is I've got one rule and one rule only with it. I mean, if you're a dick, you'll get kicked off. But when it comes to if a creator comes on the show, the rule is before they even allow to even suggest that they are a creator, they have to shield someone else's book first, and then they will get the opportunity to tell anybody watching or listening what it is they've been up to.
Nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's good.
I think it's a great idea. It's a great format. I'm looking forward to it. Jay Money, closing thoughts?
I don't know. I don't really have much to say today.
Yeah. Well, that's fine.
Beware
I mean,
of
I don't. I guess I'm kind of stunned into silence at that remark.
Be
But
weary of the United Nations.
all right, there we go.
I have to say, every time you say Jay Money, I think he always acts suspiciously because his first thing he automatically just puts his hands up. It's like, oh, fuck.
Well, it wasn't me. I didn't do it.
That's
Mitchell,
my
you have
maintenance
any?
sign of distress.
You got any closing thoughts for us, Mitchell?
Yeah, make it a double header. Go watch Captain Fuckhead stream and then come right over into Inkspots. Inkspots normally does fun. It'll be a good break. Have a beer with Inkspots. Evaluate your financial, future as you back a ton of books on from Captain Fuckhead, but go have a beer afterwards with Inkspots.
That's right. He'll make you feel better about the whole deal.
Yeah.
Gargoyle, what about you?
Yo,
Oh, there it is.
Blimey.
I'm with Mitchell and Captain Fuckhead. Watch their shows back to back. Fucking awesome shit. I'm just coming with a question. I've been working on this big titty woman Bristol board. Should I ink it myself? How should I ink it? I don't know.
Shit, dude. Captain Fuckhead might be able to help you out with that.
Yeah.
God, oh, fucking hell, put me on the spot.
Well,
I'd say,
I'm a writer. What am I going to say?
Are you still going to try and do any of the digital inking I saw that you were working on before? Or
Yeah, but I was doing a step-by-step with the ink spots. I did the part that he was teaching me, but I left off for the next part because I'm just like kind of stupid.
I feel
You know what?
I'm doing the same thing with coloring.
I'm learning all this shit too. I would suggest to you, if you've got the capability of doing it digitally, just get on, turn your computer on, scan the motherfucker in, and just pick a brush, any fucking brush you want. I use Clip. For inking, I pretty much exclusively use the Clip's G pen because it'll dip in and out with pressure, but you can set it to a maximum, so it'll only go so big if you put a lot of pressure on it. But just pick a brush, do it 9 times in 9 different brushes, see what happens, find out what you like best, and then keep going.
Okay.
Good advice. I think the best thing you can do is just learn from experiments and, doing it yourself. That's really the best way.
Every
Always.
time you fuck it up, it's another lesson learned.
Yeah.
It gets
You're
good
right.
questions.
You're right. I was just trying to bust a nut on this Bristol board.
All right, everybody, hell the chat. I know
Beat, though.
pretty much everyone was over at EVS. That's fine. We throw the big dog a bone here and there, and that's fine.
And of course, any money that he's raised during our show, of course, is
all due
our
to
responsibility.
yes,
Yeah,
all due
That's
to
up
Midday
us.
Repartee, as per
Yeah.
usual. Yes,
And
absolutely.
Sean Gordon Murphy, if you have made an extra few $100,000 during this show, you can come on next Wednesday and thank
You
us.
can. We're here for you, brother. All right. Well, we will see you tomorrow, and have a good day.
See you.